These snakes can kill. Some avoid confrontation, whereas others tend to be fierce. This first one tends to be shy. Number 10. Black Mamba. Black mambas are swift, jittery, fatally venomous, and highly aggressive when threatened. Numerous human deaths have been attributed to them, and African myths greatly exaggerate their power. For these reasons, the black mamba is considered the deadliest snake in the world. Their name comes from the blue-black color of the inside of their mouths, not the color of their skin. Being shy, black mambas almost always try to flee when confronted. When cornered, however, these snakes will raise their heads, with a third of their bodies off the ground, spread their neck flaps like a cobra, open their mouths, and hiss. The mamba will repeatedly strike if an attacker persists, injecting significant amounts of potent neuro and cardiotoxin with each strike. A bite from this ferocious serpent was almost always fatal before the development of black mamba antivenom. Sadly, antivenom is still not widely accessible in the mamba's rural range, and mamba-related deaths are still common. In addition to placing pressure on the black mamba, encroachment on its range increases the likelihood that people will come into contact with these snakes, which could be dangerous. Number 9. Fer de lance. The fer de lance is widely adapted and widespread. It is accustomed to lowland, moist and wet forests and rainforests. This viper is not timid in human-controlled areas where rat populations have flourished. Instead, those places become the favorite haunt of the fer de lance. This infamous viper is one of the most dangerous animals one can come across in Latin America, due to its large size, long fangs, high venom production and toxicity, as well as an active and edgy disposition. As a juvenile, this nocturnal serpent may function during the day and on low vegetation, but as an adult, it is more active on the ground. The younger fer de lance has a yellow tail tip to attract prey's attention before ambushing it. The size of the prey increases as the snake gets bigger. The fer de lance may buzz its tail before striking when it is agitated. When threatened, it moves quickly. When they sense an attack, other large vipers are more likely to flee, but the fer de lance is more likely to strike. It is less cautious with this defense than other snakes because it produces a lot of venom. Number 8. Boomslang. According to the University of Michigan Museum of Zoology, the boomslang is one of the most venomous of the so-called rear-fanged snakes and can be found throughout Africa. These snakes can retract their fangs into their mouths when not in use. Like other deadly snakes, this deadly snake has hemotoxin venom that causes its victims to bleed out internally and externally, according to the museum. The boomslang is quite the looker, with an egg-shaped head, large eyes, and a bright green pattern on its body. According to the South African National Biodiversity Institute, when threatened, a snake will expand its neck to twice its size and reveal a brightly colored flap of skin hidden between its scales. A boomslang bite can result in a horrifying death. Blood will start seeping out of every possible exit, including the gums, nostrils, and even the most minor cuts. Blood will also start passing through the body via the victim's stools, urine, saliva, and vomit until they die, according to Scientific American. Victims suffer extensive muscle and brain hemorrhaging. Luckily, there is an antivenom for the boomslang. Number 7. Eastern tiger snake. The eastern tiger snake has fangs at the front of its mouth and is a member of the elapid family of snakes. These snakes possess unique genes not present in their land-based Asian and African relatives. In fact, according to the majority of experts, they descended from amphibians or marine animals that adapted to the Australian environment. The eastern tiger snake is also thought to have arrived in Australia via the sea. Eastern tiger snake's current appearance results from numerous climate and sea level changes over the past 10,000 years. The tiger snake is the closest relative of the eastern tiger snake. Because they are timid, these snakes rarely bite unless threatened. They typically slither away when they see a person or a large animal. They are one of the most dangerous animals out there though, and you might not be able to avoid getting bitten if they feel threatened. It's best not to interact with these reptiles when they're spotted. They typically prefer to live alone and only interact with other eastern tiger snakes when mating. They are solitary animals. Number 6. Russell's viper. The Russell's viper is a venomous snake native to Asia. It is also responsible for the most snakebite incidents and deaths among all venomous snakes. According to research published on March 25, 2021 in the journal PLOS Neglected Tropical Diseases, the Russell's viper is primarily to blame for most of the 58,000 deaths per year attributed to snakes. Because of that, this species is regarded as one of the true vipers that is the deadliest. They are a major cause of harvest time fatalities for paddy farmers in Sri Lanka who like to rest in paddy fields at night. According to research published in the Handbook of Clinical Neurology in 2014, the snake's venom can cause a horrible smorgasbord of symptoms, including acute kidney failure, severe bleeding, and multi-organ damage. Acute strokes and, in a few rare instances, symptoms resembling Sheehan's syndrome, a condition in which the pituitary gland stops producing some hormones, can both be caused by certain venom components related to coagulation. The claims are that renal failure is the usual cause of death for victims. Ouch. Number 5. Saw-scaled viper. These vipers are only about 2 foot long, but their venom is highly toxic. They are one of the species responsible for most snake bites in their native range, and their venom is being studied for medical purposes. About 20% of this snake's untreated victims die, so prompt treatment is critical, and saw-scaled viper venom is lethal at only 5 milligrams. Despite this, these snakes can inject up to 12 milligrams in a single bite. When a person is bitten, they experience local pain and swelling, which is not what kills them. Their venom causes hemorrhaging and coagulation defects, which are problems with blood clotting. Nosebleeds, bloody urine or stools, and coughing up blood are all common and can lead to hypovolemic shock, in which the body's fluid levels are abnormally low. Almost all victims experience hypertension and some require kidney dialysis. Aside from the dangers of envenomation, antivenom is widely available and effective in most cases. Deaths from saw-scaled viper envenomation are uncommon because treatment is readily available. Several antivenoms are available for this species' venom, and when combined with intravenous hydration, the chances of survival are high. Number 4. Banded krait. The banded krait can produce highly toxic venom, which it injects into its victims via a painful bite. The toxin directly attacks the nervous system. The most common symptoms are bleeding, dizziness, abdominal pain, vomiting, diarrhea, paralysis, and kidney damage. If the victim receives a large enough dose of the venom, death from respiratory failure can occur in a small number of cases. Fortunately, most treatments are effective enough to prevent the worst effects. The banded krait does not always inject venom in a defensive bite, often preventing more people from becoming victims. Instead, it saves its poison for hunting prey. Considering the venom's lethality, the banded krait is surprisingly timid and unaggressive towards humans. The snake will usually try to avoid conflict unless it is directly threatened or mishandled. Most bites occur at night when they are more active and dangerous, whereas they are sluggish and slow-moving during the day. When encountered, they usually coil up and try to hide their head. Nonetheless, because its venom poses a small but real risk of death, this snake should be avoided at all costs. Time for today's best pick. If you ask someone to name a snake species, this might be the first to escape their lips. Find out what it is next. Number 3. King cobra. The king cobra, one of the world's most venomous snakes, can literally stand up and stare a full-grown person in the eye. When confronted, they can lift up to a third of their body off the ground and continue to attack. Fortunately, king cobras are extremely shy and will avoid humans at all costs. It will also extend its iconic hood and emit a hiss similar to a growling dog. King cobras can grow 18 feet long, making them the longest venomous snakes. Although their venom is not the most potent among venomous snakes, the amount of neurotoxin they can deliver in a single bite, up to 0.2 of an ounce, is enough to kill 20 people or even an elephant. The venom of a king cobra affects the brain's respiratory centers, causing respiratory arrest and cardiac failure. The rainforests and plains of India, southern China, and Southeast Asia are home to king cobras, and their coloring varies greatly from region to region. They are at home in a wide range of environments, including forests, bamboo thickets, mangrove swamps, high-altitude grasslands, and rivers. Number 2. Coastal taipan. The coastal taipan is an Australian snake with lethal venom. It feeds on rats, mice, bandicoots, and birds. This snake lives in dry woodlands, rainforests, and grassy slopes. A coastal taipan's average length is around 6 feet, but they can grow as long as 9.5 feet. A baby coastal taipan is vulnerable to goannas and hawks, whereas predators do not threaten an adult. A coastal taipan's bite is extremely venomous. Keep in mind that these snakes prefer to avoid human contact but will strike if they feel trapped or are stepped on. Anyone bitten should be taken to the hospital immediately for antivenom. After a bite, dizziness, convulsions, nausea, and other symptoms appear quickly. While you wait for an ambulance, apply a pressure bandage to the bite wound and make a splint to keep the limb immobile. Make every effort to keep the person as still and calm as possible. Despite having potent venom, coastal taipan snakes are known to flee potential human encounters. People are usually bitten when they step on a snake or reach into an area without realizing it's there. Number 1. Inland taipan. The inland taipan is frequently referred to as the world's most venomous snake, but it is far from the most dangerous. Unlike its common and fiery-tempered congener, the coastal taipan, this shy serpent is relatively placid and rarely encountered in its remote, semi-arid habitat. This species is quite shy compared to the closely related coastal taipan, and many reptile keepers consider it a calm snake to handle. But when provoked, it will defend itself just like any other animal. It first displays a threat by raising its forebody in a low, tight S-curve while turning its head to face the offender. If the offender disregards the warning, the inland taipan will strike, making a single bite or several quick bites. Headache, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, collapse, and paralysis are envenomation symptoms. Anyone suspected to have been bitten must seek immediate medical attention due to the venom's toxicity and spreading action, which can be potentially fatal. These species have only ever bitten a small number of people, but those who have all recovered thanks to a prompt administration of the right first aid and medical attention.